caller who died during the call. They got a whole section just for this. Now, as you can see, this is my first open records request back in January of this year for the Roni Reaves 911 tape. All right. And this is their response. They're using O.C.G.A. subsection 50-18-72A4. Basically saying pending investigation, right? But let's look at the law. This is the statute they're using. Records of law enforcement, prosecution, or regulatory agency in any pending investigation. You notice what it didn't say? It didn't say 911 center. But most of this is for law enforcement, prosecution, and regulatory agency, right? This does not say 911 center. This does not say custodian of record, right? And I'm gonna tell you why this really makes sense. It's basically saying you can't get our stuff, but we still working on the case. I get that. I don't want no photos. I don't want no body cam footage. I don't want no interview notes. I don't want none of that. All we asking for the 911 tape. And the reason why I want you to harp on the records of law enforcement, prosecution, and regulatory agencies, because guess what? They got a whole section dedicated to 911 tapes. This is 50-18-72-26. This is about 22 slots down, subsections down. Unless the request is made by the accused of a criminal case, right? Or by his attorney, public record of emergency 911 system as defined in paragraph 5, right? Containing information which would reveal the name, address, telephone number of person placing the call to public safety answering point. Such information may be redacted from such records if necessary to prevent the disclosure of the identity of the confidential source, to prevent the disclosure of material which could endanger the life or physical safety of any person, or prevent disclosure of a confidential investigation. So basically, this is what they're saying in 26, and this is strictly for 911 records on emergency 911 system. You know how in the other one, this one right here, they said law enforcement, prosecution, and regulatory agents. This one is for the 911 center. So this is their statute governing them releasing 911 tapes. And they can redact the name, address, telephone number, and anything that prevents the disclosure of confidential sources, informants, or investigation. There's more. Watch this. Then you got, in addition to 26, it's 26.1. In addition to exemption paragraph provided by paragraph 26 of this subsection, audio recording of a 911 telephone call to a public safety answering point which contains the speech in distress or cries in extremities of a caller who died during the call. They got a whole section for the exemption process and someone who's making a so-called dying declaration in the whole Georgia Open Records Request statute. They got a whole section just for this. So why is we're using the statute for law enforcement, prosecution, and regulatory agencies when they have a whole subsection dedicated to 911 call? And guess what this subsection also says, right? This is deal with minors as well, but guess what? It says, provided that the person seeking the audio recording of the 911 telephone call submits a sworn affidavit that reflects to the facts necessary to establish eligibility under this paragraph. And it goes on to say, these are the people that can do it. A duly appointed representative of the deceased caller's estate, parent or guardian, people in the civil matter, even the defendant, if they have caught a person, he has access to the tape under this statute. I even asked the custodial record back in February, was there any prosecutorial posture? Was there a court order from a judge or a directive from the DA's office? And this is what they said. You asked for to identify the issuing authority of any court order, judicial ruling, or prosecutorial directive restricting the release of the 911 recording in the matter of Roni Reaves. No records were located indicating the existence of any such court order, judicial ruling, or prosecutorial directive. And the custodian of record falls back on 50-18-72-A4. But that subsection is for law enforcement, prosecution, and regulatory agents. 911 Center has its own statute. So why is the custodian record and even the director of 911, Mandy Pat, using the same subsection, 50-18-72-A4? That is for law enforcement. So where are they receiving that directive? Why are they using that statute? when they have a whole 911 section that allows it to be released with redacted information, and even the redacted information can be released to certain individuals like the deceased estate, even the criminal defendant, civil lawyers, litigants, all that. They can get the whole tape. So guess what we doing? We finna file that affidavit. That's what we finna do. And that's let you know these people been playing in your face the whole time. They using a broad statute when they have an actual statute for the 911 release and the protections that are implemented for that release. But yet they telling me it's a pending case when you got a whole, man, this don't make no sense. And then you got 2 cases just in the last week in Atlanta, and they released the 911 tape already. One of them, they released it almost in full. The other one, they did redacted. The one that just recently happened with the NFL player mother. But what I'm saying is, this makes no sense. 911 has its own subsection, but they using this. At whose directive? We own it though. New media. Be great today. Peace.